Picture this for a second. Imagine a single life story that doesn't just shape the faith of over 1 billion people, but literally maps out the holiest geography of a major world religion. Well, we're talking about Ishmael, or Ishmael in Arabic. He is an absolutely monumental Islamic prophet, and his epic life story establishes both the sacred landscape and the core lineage of the entire Islamic faith. It's a narrative packed with intense survival, divine intervention, and ultimately an incredible, lasting legacy. So, let's quickly roadmap our journey for this explainer. We've got 5 main stops today. First, Ishmael in Islamic tradition. Second, the journey to Mecca. Third, the ultimate test. Fourth, constructing the Kaaba. And finally, forefather of the Arabs. All right, let's dive right in.
Section 1. Ishmael in Islamic tradition.
Now, Ishmael's birth as the first son of Abraham and Hagar wasn't just some standard historical event. It was deeply intertwined with these incredibly powerful prophecies. According to the prominent Muslim scholar Ibn Kathir, an angel actually appeared to Hagar while she was pregnant, telling her to name the child Ishmael. But the angel also prophesied that his hand would be over everyone, and that his brethren would rule over all the lands. Scholars interpret this as a direct prediction of the future leadership of the Prophet Muhammad. What's really fascinating here is how early Islamic tradition heavily emphasizes direct divine intervention right out of the gate. When Abraham is commanded to take his family to Mecca, they aren't just wandering aimlessly through the desert. Texts describe them being actively guided by the Sakina, which is a divine wind or spirit sent by God, or in some other accounts by the angel Gabriel himself. It just really underscores that this family was on a predetermined, highly sacred path.
Moving right along to Section 2, the journey to Mecca.
Islamic tradition describes a seriously powerful micro-narrative of survival right here. Abraham brings his family to this completely barren landscape in Mecca, and when he turns to leave, he tells Hagar he's entrusting them to God. Displaying just immense faith, she accepts this. She truly believes God will guide them. But the reality of the desert sets in incredibly fast. Their water supply completely runs out, young Ishmael becomes dangerously thirsty, and Hagar begins this frantic, desperate search to find water to save her child's life.
And this brilliantly illustrates how history literally steps into modern practice. Hagar, in her absolute desperation, runs back and forth between 2 small hills in the area, Al-Safa and Al-Marwa. She does this exactly 7 times, desperately scanning the horizon for a passing caravan or any sign of water. Today, this exact frantic search for water directly anchors the modern Islamic pilgrimage of Hajj. When millions of Muslims visit Mecca, they perform the Sa'i ritual, physically retracing Hagar's very steps between these 2 hills to honor her struggle and her unwavering faith.
Right at the peak of her desperation, a literal miracle happens: the discovery of the Zamzam well. When Hagar runs back to Ishmael after checking the hills, either the infant Ishmael or an angel scratches the dry desert ground, and boom, a spring of water bursts forth. Hagar quickly dams it up to collect the water. Now, this miracle didn't just save their lives, it kind of changed history. The presence of water attracted birds, which then caught the attention of a passing nomadic tribe called the Jurhum. They asked Hagar for permission to settle right there by the water, and, just like that, the foundation for the entire city of Mecca was laid.
Which brings us to Section 3, the ultimate test.
This is one of the most widely discussed and pivotal events in all of Abrahamic theology, the narrative of the sacrifice. Now, it's super important to impartially map out a key difference in these historical traditions. In Islamic tradition, an event known as the Zabih, texts overwhelmingly identify the son to be sacrificed as Ishmael. This is a distinct contrast with the Judeo-Christian Torah, which explicitly identifies the son meant for sacrifice as Isaac. We aren't here to debate which history is the correct one, but rather to understand that for Muslims, it is Ishmael whose incredible obedience is being tested right alongside his father Abraham.
And the ripple effect of this narrative? It's massive. This test of ultimate obedience to God remains a foundational cornerstone of Islamic cultural and theological practice to this day. The willingness of both the Father and the Son to just submit completely to the divine will is commemorated and celebrated annually by Muslims all over the globe during the major holiday of Eid al-Adha, the festival of sacrifice.
All right, Section 4, constructing the Kaaba.
After all those intense trials, Abraham and a now adult Ishmael reunite in Mecca for a truly monumental architectural and spiritual task. Together, the father and son jointly construct, or as some traditions phrase it, cleanse and raise the Kaaba, establishing it as the spiritual epicenter. Tradition holds that an angel actually delivered the famous black stone, which Abraham then placed right into the structure.
Once the Kaaba was fully complete, God called Abraham to establish the Hajj pilgrimage, and crucially, Ishmael was placed in charge of caring for the Kaaba and teaching others the rituals of the Hajj. He effectively became the central guardian of Islam's holiest site.
Finally, Section 5, Forefather of the Arabs.
Let's zoom out a bit from the chronological timeline of his life and examine Ishmael's broader, scriptural and genealogical impact. The Quran firmly grounds his legacy in Surah 19, verses 54 and 55. It specifically praises Ishmael, stating he was always true to his promise and calling him an apostle, a prophet who used to enjoin upon his people prayer and charity. This really highlights his role not just as a survivor or an ancestor, but as a highly active, righteous leader spreading spiritual disciplines to his people.
So how exactly did he become the forefather of the Arabs? Well, Islamic thought categorizes pre-Islamic Arab populations into three main groups: the legendary Baida, the southern Ariba, and the Mustariba, which means the Arabized Arabs. Tradition credits Ishmael as the forefather of this third group, the Mustariba or Northern Arabs. And the reason he is considered Arabized is because he wasn't originally Arab himself. He literally learned the language only after growing up and marrying into that local Arabic Jurham tribe we talked about earlier.
When we trace this lineage downward, a crucial connection lights up. It perfectly joins the ancient biblical ancestry of Abraham directly to the prophet Muhammad. Through Ishmael's son Kedar, the lineage flows down to a historical figure named Adnan, eventually leading straight to the famous Quraysh tribe in Mecca. And it is from this very specific tribe that the prophet Muhammad is born, inextricably tying his ancestry to Ishmael, to Abraham, and to the holy city itself. So here's a thought to leave you with. How does understanding Ishmael's completely unique role in Islam reshape our view of these shared Abrahamic histories and their diverging paths? It's just endlessly fascinating to consider how this single life, a life filled with divine desert interventions and immense tests of faith, continues to anchor the core beliefs, the daily rituals, and the sacred geography of over 1 billion Muslims today. Thanks for joining us on this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and we'll catch you next time.